Shalom, I'm giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rakakodah, Shalom to the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, Shalom to you all. I'm going to entitle this video, Edom knows that Jacob's trouble is coming and is getting ready for it. So this is a video that was put up by GMS South Carolina 087, South Carolina, I'm sorry, GMS North Carolina 777. And I just want you to, I'm gonna play this part, but it's gonna go right into it. Also, I just noticed in the the thumbnail on the right of my screen, the right of me, Babylon, the same short. Babylon is losing. What say you? So I may play some of this too. I just want to play him saying what he's got to say, then let it go into it. I might play the whole thing, but the spirit hits me, I'll step in. So listen up, listen up, listen up. Another scripture that came to mind is James 5. They have heaped treasures together for the last days. That could have been another title. I may even add that. If I have room, I may even add that as a title. That's in James chapter 5. They're talking about the rich. They have heaped treasures together for the last days. Okay, so let's go.
I let them talk. And if it I pick my passengers up, I let them talk. And if it involves me, I'm going to jump in it. This one didn't involve me. This is that one time I'm joining on the conversation. And I think y'all might want to stick around and hear this motherfucker through. I picked up an elderly white couple in their mid to late 70s. Well, the fuck to do. When I say well to do, we ain't talking hundreds of thousands. I'm pretty sure in the upper millions. Trust me on this shit here. They were here in New Orleans conducting business. In other words, getting rid of businesses that they own. Finalizing that shit. On their way to California, I just dropped them off the airport to finalize the last properties they own in this country. How do I know? They on there talking to their daughter. She's in London on her way to Canada to dispose of whatever business they got going on out there. So now Unc is a little curious. I'm curious as a motherfucker. So I just asked and listen, I don't want to get in y'all business, but is something going on? I said, I know we talking about the war and all of this, and I hear y'all flying around getting rid of stuff. The wife didn't say nothing, but she looked at her husband, he looked at her. The man told me, he said, listen, all I can tell you is this here. Just get you and your family together. I said, sir, listen, I hear this on TikTok. I hear it all the time. I said, I know prices are going high. That man said, this ain't got nothing to do with prices. Just get your families in line. If you can, try to put things together to manage at least a minimum of 6 months to take care of you and your family. So I said, is it going to be that serious? That man told me, what's your worst nightmare? What's the worst thing you ever thought could happen to you? That's why I can't think offhand. He said, anything that you ever thought was the worst could happen to you, put that 10 times that amount. He said, listen, I don't tell you these things to scare you. And I don't want you to be afraid because there's no reason to be afraid. What's going to happen is going to happen. Now I'm listening to this man telling me this.
And what's going to happen, which just Jake doesn't know because he doesn't watch the videos, is Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Daniel 12, starting from the very first verse. Matthew 24. This is the Yahushua speaks about this troublous times. His exact words, because Elder read it. Tribulation. Yahushua uses the word tribulation in Matthew 20, chapter 24. This is when these women are suffering. These women out here, these women are suffering because they don't know how to, if they ain't got nothing, they don't know how to go out and knock somebody over the head and take it. A man can do that. A man can go out and knock somebody over and take their shit. Women can't do that. So guess what? Women will need men. Women will come back to us on bended knee. They will beg to be a part of your world. Like the scriptures say, going to be a shortage of men pursuant to 2nd Ezra chapter 16. It's in the 16th, but you got to read the 15th chapter and the 16th chapter. And men will be saved in their house. That means your wife, your woman, or your woman, woman, WOMEN, Isaiah 4:1, 7 women, so take on one man, which means many women. Some brothers are gonna have 10 women, some are gonna have 20, some are gonna have 50, some are gonna have 4. But women are gonna have to come to the realization they're not gonna make it if they don't have a man of wisdom. Isaiah 33 verse 6. Wisdom and knowledge shall be their stability at that time, and strength of salvation. You have people, here it is 2026, you have jakes out there that don't even know what's going on. They in the comedic, consciousness, which is all BS. Islam, they don't know what's going on. You have these Yah Israelites out there. And people can see that the former One Westers out there that's grinding, they're the ones that's going to be delivered. They're the ones that's going to have, fulfill Isaiah 33 verse 6. They're going to be stabilized. They're going to be fed. The shelves are going to be empty. That's in the Apocrypha as well. It speaks about the storehouses. That's also in Isaiah chapter 19. So this is the culmination of all these prophetic scriptures coming together. All these prophetic end time scriptures is all the same thing's going to happen, but it's in different, the Most High gave it to the prophets in different scenarios. So let's go ahead and listen. I may want to play this back.
Shit. And he said, boy, since you asked, just get you and your family in line. So I'm telling everybody out here, some shit is going on. Because these people here trust and believe me. If y'all would have saw me, you know I'm not bullshitting about these. These motherfuckers is up there some fucking way. I don't know what the fuck they do. But I do know they getting rid of shit for a reason. And when that man told me a minimum of 6 months to get my shit,
they know that Jacob's trouble is coming. Not that they reading Jacob's, we know Jacob. No. They know that something's coming down the pipe. They have inside information. Shelves shall be empty. You might have money. But when you go to the supermarket, there ain't going to be nothing to buy. And then you have a thing called panic buying. Somebody put in panic buying. Give me the definition of panic buying. Give me the definition of a run on the banks. These women out here, these women that's been playing hard to get, they're going to be open. And you're going to pick and choose which woman you like. And the younger you are, the better.
Lined up for that little time, guess what? A minimum of 2 motherfucking years. My shit is going to be lined up. I don't give a fuck if you call me paranoid or hallucinating. I'm following motherfucking suit, and I think y'all need to do the same thing. Some fucking way, I don't know what the fuck.
St. Matthew chapter 24.
So let me play that again.
I let them talk. And if I pick my passengers up, I let them talk. And if it involves me, I'm going to jump in it. This one didn't involve me. This is that one time I'll jump right in on the conversation. And I think y'all might want to stick around and hear this motherfucker through. I picked up an elderly white couple in their mid to late 70s. Well, the fuck to do. When I say well to do, we ain't talking hundreds of thousands. I'm pretty sure in the upper millions. Trust me on this shit here. They were here in New Orleans, conducting business. In other words, getting rid of businesses that they own. Finalizing that shit. On their way to California, I just dropped them off the airport to finalize the last properties they own in this country. How do I know? They on there talking to their daughter. She's in London on her way to Canada to dispose of whatever business they got going on out there. I hear y'all flying around getting rid of stuff. The wife didn't say nothing, but she looked at her husband, he looked at her. The man told me, he said, listen, all I can tell you is this here. Just get you and your family together. I said, sir, listen, I hear this on TikTok. I hear it all the time. I said, I know prices are going high. That man said, this ain't got nothing to do with prices. Just get your families in line. If you can, try to put things together to manage at least a minimum of 6 months to take care of you and your family. So I said, is it going to be that serious? That man told me, what's your worst nightmare? What's the worst thing you ever thought could happen to you? That's what I can't think offhand. He said, anything that you ever thought was the worst could happen to you, put that 10 times that amount. He said, listen, I don't tell you these things to scare you. And I don't want you to be afraid because there's no reason to be afraid. What's going to happen is going to happen. Now I'm listening to this man telling me this shit. And he said, but sit your ass. Just get you and your family in line. So I'm telling everybody out here, some shit is going on. Because these people here trust and believe me. If y'all would have saw me, you know I'm not bullshitting about these. These motherfuckers is up there some fucking way. I don't know what the fuck they do. But I do know they getting rid of shit for a reason. And when that man told me a minimum of 6 months to get my shit lined up for that little time, guess what? A minimum of 2 motherfucking years. My shit is gonna be lined up. I don't give a fuck if you call me paranoid or hallucinating. I'm following motherfucking suit, and I think y'all need to do the same thing. Some fucking way, I don't know what the fuck.
St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 21, and it reads, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days shall be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, next double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of Great Millstone, the one that taught us the 100% truth according to the Bible, peace, blessings, and safety. So all you sincere Akims, keep pushing, keep believing, keep the faith. Regardless of people here for a better, the one that went out. It's been going out for a long time. Get your houses in order. You hope for elects out there. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you Israelites has been scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. It may look like these different nations. Get your house. Let us all get our houses in order to the best of our ability. Chaos, mayhem, destruction, anarchy. You heard the Uber driver said some people that was well off going around, they selling everything. You know, a prudent man foreseeth to even hide himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. The worst time known to mankind, the one that has went out. The Lord revealing secrets. Everything is covered, you know what I'm saying, is being uncovered. This devil coming in with great wrath, knowing that he only got a short time to rule. And remember, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Remember, we the crazy guys, right? St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 21, and it reads, for then shall be great tribulation. Nobody ain't got to believe us. We just give them the warning. That's all. Our job is just give them the warning over and over and over and over. Just like in the time of the flood. He had Noah warning the people. Nobody didn't believe him. Eventually a flood came. See, these people are preparing carnally. You know, selling all their assets and storing up food and, you know, hoarding and stuff like that. Nah, man, I want to get this. Let's get this. Let's just get something quick early in the morning lesson. You know, hope for Alex. The Lord said, look, others, let's just get it. Let's just get it. You know. Most definitely, the insiders there, of course, they know what time it is. They letting each other know. Well, listen, look, we're the insiders too. The Lord is letting us know. You got insiders, their heads, their elites are letting them know. It's about to go down. Well, our head is letting us know. Yahweh, through his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, by way of the prophets, are letting us know. Get our stuff together. Spiritually. Get your houses in order. I'm gonna have to find that scripture too. Let go from the mortal thoughts. See, selling all your goods, I'm saying, hoarding up stuff and all that. I mean, these people have no clue of how bad it's gonna get. What that dude is explaining, you see, he explaining some things, but they think being carnally minded is gonna get them out of the trouble that's coming down the pipeline. Nah, man. I'm multitasking, so just bear with me. You gotta worry about Jacob's trouble, martial law, the hour of temptation, all these things. And the way out of this thing is seeking the Lord. Why do you think the Lord starting off with the elder apostles / your beloved elder bishops of Great Millstone and men on down? Why do you think Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua got his spirit on his men to tell our people to repent, seek the Lord while he may be found? Those that seek him early shall find him, all right? That famine of word coming fast too. Nobody ain't gonna be one of you people. You Israelites, nobody ain't gonna, you Hebrew Israelites, nobody ain't gonna be one of y'all. This shit about to pop off. Gurgle troops walking down the street, tanks everywhere. People screaming, hooping hard, just running up and down. Nobody ain't gonna be out there warning y'all. The warning going out now. Second address, chapter 2, verse 27, and it reads, "Be not weary." So what this guy is talking about, it just makes us want to seek the Lord even more. That's all. Because that's our only help anyway. Remember, the Lord is my rock, my shield, my buckler, the horn of my salvation. That's Psalms, the 18th chapter. In whom I will trust. Because remember, a man shall not be saved by his bow or his strength, or no carnally means. You know, money can't save you. Remember, riches profit not in the day of wrath. I'm about to throw that in there too. Matter of fact, hold on. Because I'll forget. I'm going to be all over the place with this, Lord, willing, the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel is edified. Seek the Lord. Point blank, period. Seek the Lord. And we're constantly, Luke 21, we're constantly praying that we're kind of worthy to escape all these things. Let's get this. Let's just click on this right quick. Let's go here. And then I'm going to come right back. I'm going to come right back. Surely the Lord power would do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets into his servants, the prophets. When this deal go down, you're going to know that the prophet has been among you. Just know that. All you Israelites, you're going to know that the prophet has been among you. Look at this. St. Luke chapter 21. I mean, this whole chapter is banging, man. This whole chapter is banging. This St. Luke chapter 21. Shit, we're coming into that time where friends are going to betray each other. Parents are going to betray the sons, the daughters. The sons and the daughters are going to betray, you know what I'm saying, their parents, things of that nature. So cannibalism going to pop off. Like the dude said, think of your, this guy right here, you know what I'm saying, the people that he was driving around said, think of your worst nightmare. And multiply that times 1,000,000. What do you think the prophet's been telling you? The prophet's been saying that. Think of your worst nightmare and multiply it times 1,000,000. That's what the worst time known to mankind. Ain't nobody taking heed though. No, it takes somebody to see, you know what I'm saying, some rich, you know what I'm saying, Edomites selling things and telling you how bad it's gonna get. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said they're gonna make their own tongue fall upon themselves. Got whistleblowers, and I mean, you can see it on people's face. You can tell something up. People be all frigid, you know what I'm saying? Got you driving, especially for Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and things of that nature. People that do different transportation, you seeing people and you hearing their conversations on the phone. Said the daughter, you know what I'm saying, was in London. She was on her way to Canada, just selling all their assets, getting ready. You know? These elites are getting ready, man, selling all their assets. I'm saying, look, man, everything's going digital anyway, all right? And once again, riches profit not in the day of wrath. Let's get this, though. This is on St. Luke 21 and 25. For there should be signs in the sun and in the moon. We just had a couple eclipses, and the planets aligning together and things of that nature, all kind of chariot sightings, right? It says, and there should be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations. People stress the hell out. You see, we're in the midst of war. We're in the midst of everything. Doom and gloom with perplexity, a state of confusion. While Jake at the club dancing and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? You got the upper echelon, you know what I'm saying? Out here selling shit, making plays, getting their shit in order, storing up food, you know what I'm saying? To say at least 6 months. You know?
Yeah, we don't have to do that. I mean, if you want, you can. That's up to you. But we're going to be protected. Isaiah 60. Matter of fact, let me go to that and let me give it to you in a couple of different versions. It starts at verse 9, and I may even go, let me see something. What's this? Okay. Okay, let me come over here to okay. Okay, Isaiah 6:5 and 12. Let's go to the Amplified. Yeah, we were going through this about women. 7 women shall take hold of 1 man. And we asked Chat the question about, or Google AI, about, you know, is there a history of women being sold, bartered, you know, barter system. When the money collapses, you have what's called a barter system, where you trade one thing for something else. So it says here, I will disdain you for the sword, says Yahweh, and all of you will bow down to the slaughter. You know what I got to do? Let me go to the 9th verse. This is in the Amplified. I will bring forth descendants from Jacob, and an heir of my mountains from Judah. That's the kingdom. Even my chosen ones, the elect, shall inherit it, and my servants will live there. That's the kingdom. And the plain of Sharon will be a place of flocks, that's the kingdom, to graze, and the valley of Achor, a resting place for herds. For my people, the Israelite, my people, who seek me, who long for me, and require my presence in their lives. And that's the elect. That's why we're doing the work. We was out there, man. Last week, we was out there. It was seasonable. It was not bad. Yesterday, it was cold. It felt like mid-February. It was cold. It says, but you who abandon, turn away from Yahweh. When we teach you this, you got all these people on Jakes on TikTok scoffing the Israelites, Israelism, as this guy calls it. They're going to die. They're going to starve to death. They're going to commit the act of cannibalism. In America. Like I said, the focus is 2nd Ezra 6, 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16. Who forget and ignore my holy mountain. They're talking about going back to Africa. Who set a table for Gad, which means the troops, the Babylonian god of fortune. Gad is not the Babylonian god of fortune. That troop represents Esau's way. Jake is going to rely on this man's system, not on the Most High, not on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and who fill a jug of mixed wine. And mixed wine represents truth. Mixed wine represents truth and lies. Of many, the god of fate. So Jake is going to be running to these gods, these various different gods. I will disdain you for the sword. Most High said he's going to put you out there to be killed. A lot of our people, millions of our people are going to die when this thing goes down. They say that there's approximately 50 million so-called Negroes. What about the other tribes? How many of the other tribes do we have here? You can say we got 100 million. Let's say 100 million. 100 million of our people are going to die here in America. The rest of the 250 million in America of other nations, they're going to die here too. So we're talking 300 million plus people are going to die here in a great fire. And nobody knows it. Nobody's ready for it. I will disdain you for the sword, says Yahweh, and all of you will bow down to the slaughter. In other words, you're not going to be able to resist the slaughter. And part of that slaughter is cannibalism. You women cannot make it on your own. And you men, get your mind in shape, get your body in shape, get your mind right. And be ready to die, because you're going to die. Some of us will die for not accepting the chip. So it's going to be a game changer when we hear that first breaking news. Maybe Trump will make it. We got the chip. He's going to hold the chip up. He's going to talk a little shit, tell you how convenient it is, and if you take the chip, you can go back to normal. If you don't take the chip, they did that with the C Ragamuffin. I take that as a test. That was a test, and majority of the people complied with that test. Because when I called, how did the Most High call? Through his prophets. You did not answer or respond. When I spoke, you did not listen or obey. But you did what was evil in my sight and chose that in which I did not delight. Therefore, Yahweh, the Most High, says this: listen carefully, my servant. Listen carefully, my servant will eat. The servants of the Most High, the prophets, the elect, and their families. Your families are going to be taken care of. Your wife, your children. But you will be hungry. Who's going to be hungry? You jakes that took this truth. You didn't take it seriously. Indeed, my servants will drink. The elect, the prophets will drink. But you will be thirsty. Indeed, my servants will rejoice. But when Jacob's trouble comes, we're going to rejoice, because we know what's going on. But you will be put to shame. Indeed, 14th verse, my servants will shout for joy from a happy heart, but you will cry out with a heavy heart, and you shall wail and howl for a broken spirit. You're not going to have the answers. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the time. You don't have wisdom and knowledge of the scriptures. So what women are going to go to? They're going to go to the men with the wisdom and knowledge, and the men that are more precious than fine gold. Edomite women and other nations' women, their desires to get with the Jake man. It says, and you will leave your name behind to my chosen ones who will use it as a curse. They don't want the name. Nah, we don't know. We're not Israelites. We're Africans, man. No, we're not Israelites. We're children of the universe. My mother's an Edomite. What does that make me? well, look, if my mother can't make it in the kingdom, I'm not going to make it in the kingdom. So you left your name as a curse. We're telling you that you're Israelites and you're throwing it back at our face. And Yahweh the Most High will put you to death. But he will call his servants by another name. So, that means we can't call ourselves Israelites no more, Nate. We got to call ourselves something else. No, the name is Israel. We're not being recognized as the Israelites. You are not reckoned among the nations. Numbers 23 verse 9. Greater name. Most High's not going to give us a different name. Just as the name Israel was greater than the name of Jacob. Because he who blesses himself on the earth will bless himself by the Most High of truth and faithfulness, and he who swears an oath on the earth, and we're going to swear that oath pursuant to Isaiah 19 chapter, verses 18, 19, 20. You can read them chapters. 5 cities in the land of Egypt shall speak the language of Canaan and shall swear by the Lord. So we're going to speak Hebrew and we're going to call the name of the Lord in Hebrew. We'll swear by the Most High of truth and faithfulness, because the former troubles are forgotten and because they are hidden from my sight. Prophecies in the past took place, so we got new prophecies. So we're in the remaining of the last. You got the chip, Jacob's deliverance, kingdom. You got four prophecies that come to pass. Jacob's trouble, the chip, us being delivered, the destruction, and the kingdom of heaven. When we get delivered, that's when the destruction is going to come. Jacob's trouble is going to end. When Michael comes down, he's going to be behind Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm going to do? Let me do this. Since I mentioned cannibalism, which is found in 2 Corinthians 15. A history of cannibalism in America. Cannibalism in America is history. American history comprises indigenous ritual practices, this desperate survival scenarios by European settlers. Okay, so they don't speak about this in American history. It says desperate survival scenarios by European settlers and frontier incidents. You was out going from the east to the west, and you got caught out there, and there was no food, and you had to eat the people that died around you. Key examples include prehistoric Southwest Anasazi site. Okay, that's 1609 to 1610. Starving time at Jamestown. So back in the 1600s, you were committing to the act of cannibalism, and the 1846 to 47 Donner Party, showcasing consumption as a last resort in extreme famine. Extreme famine. So you have 3 cases of cannibalism in America, and it's coming back. You get mad because the price is going up. You're going to really get mad when you have the money. There's not going to be anything to buy. Panic buying. Ritual cannibalism. I want that cultural context. Some native, because Jake was all fucked up. Caribs. Give me a second. Survival cannibalism. Jamestown. Archaeological evidence confirms colonists during the starving time. Okay, so there was a time called the starving time. 1609 to 1610, for a year, resorted to eating the dead, including a document 14 years old English girl to survive. Donner Party, 1846 to 47. Pioneers trapped in Sierra Nevada mountains were forced to consume members of their party who had died of exposure and starvation. You got to be pretty desperate to eat a human person. Frontier incident. Individuals such as Boone Helm, 1850 to or the 50s to the 60s, so we're talking about 10 years, were known to have committed murders and practiced cannibalism or participated in it to survive travel in the American West. Myths and misunderstandings. Look, you women, you're going to have to come under the 7 women shall take hold of one man. Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1 is going to take place on this side. 7 women shall take hold of 7 means completion. Women are being humble. They're being humble. They're gonna humble even more. So you're gonna get what you want with men. Jake men, you're gonna get what you want without effort. It's gonna be right there. There's a thing called sister wives. I'm gonna look that up too. European accounts. Columbus's reports of cannibalism, while sometimes based on findings, were also used to justify the conquest and enslavement of indigenous people. Distinctions. Historians often distinguish between cultural or traditional cannibalism, pre-context, and survival cannibalism, colonial famine, misadventure. So there you go. Let's go to sister wife, meaning. Sister wife meaning. In a polygamous society, that means one man to many women. Society, any of the women married to the same man, her mother and her sister wives live in different homes. They didn't give me a lot of information. Let me come down here. Let's go right. Okay, sister, wife, definition and meaning. Noun, a woman who is simultaneously sister and wife to her husband. That's talking about, well, that's going against the laws of the Most High anyway. A history of societies that have multiple wives. Polygamy. One man having many wives. The practice of one man having multiple wives as a history, has been common throughout history, frequently used by elites in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and China to solidify alliances, produce heirs, and demonstrate wealth. Historically, it was prevalent in many African, Native American, and Polynesian societies. Native American are Jake. Africa, you had Jake all up in Africa. Israel made Africa great, focusing on labor sharing and alliance building. Let me open this up. Okay, the biblical. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. The biblical period. Patriarchs such as Abraham, Isaac, David. David had many wives and concubines. Jacob had, of course, wives and concubines. Leah and Rachel and Leah and their two handmaids. And Solomon engaged in plural marriage, which was often regulated but not prohibited in early Israelite law. So that's in the law. Can you rape a woman according to biblical law? Let's see what comes up. According to Bible, rape is condemned as a serious sin and a violent crime, often compared to murder, and the punishment by severe penalties, including death for the perpetrator. Don't go into let me just open this up because we were speaking on that. This case was considered a capital offense. Adultery and murder of a neighbor was used in comparison. In the field, okay, let's come down here. Let's come down here. Let's see what they're gonna say, because we were talking about this. Yes, Diddy. Rape of an unbetrothed or not engaged virgin, Deuteronomy 22:28-29. In this instance, the man who raped the woman was required to pay her father 50 shekels of silver and was forced to marry her for life with no possibility of divorce. So that's your penalty. You got to pay this large sum of money in the form of silver, and you can't, she get fat, she don't look good no more. You got other wives that are young and prettier. You still got to give her wifely duties. That's in I believe that's Exodus. Exodus, if not Leviticus, I believe it's Exodus 21. I can go to that in a minute. Let me see. Context: the law has been interpreted by many scholars, because Bishop Nate and the IUIC, you guys are not scholars, okay? As a form of social welfare or compensation for the victim. In ancient society, a non-virgin woman was considered damaged goods and unmarriageable. Oh, I ain't gonna live with this woman. Somebody done, cut her hymen, popped the cherry, which would leave her destitute, forcing the man to marry and provide for her, ensured her lifelong. You can't divorce her. Financial security, though it did not consider the woman's personal trauma or her right to choose her spouse. Well, when the father married off a daughter to another Israelite, an Israelite man, giving the daughter or selling the daughter to another Israelite man, she had nothing to say. She had to go by the wishes of her father. So some modern translations interpret this specific passage as seductive rather than violent. Nope, because when you go to, what is that? I believe it's either Exodus 22:16 or Leviticus 22:16. And that's talking about seducing somebody. No, this means taking them by force. As different Hebrew words for force or seize are used in other contexts, clearly describes grape. All right? So I just wanted to find that, man. Now, let me do this. Let me go ahead and do this. What does the Bible mean when it speaks about Isaiah 4:1? Isaiah 4:1 describes a scene of severe apocalyptic judgment where, due to a massive shortage of men from war, 7 women, desperate for social legitimacy or a name to be pregnant, beg one man to marry them, promising to feed and clothe themselves. That's not going to happen in the kingdom. See, Bishop Nate is talking, well, that's going to happen in the kingdom. So are Israelite women going to be working in the kingdom? No, you're going to have servants and maids. Read Isaiah 60, read Isaiah 61. It said it signifies an absolute removal of honor and security for women who normally relied on men, highlighting a catastrophic collapse of society, highlighting a catastrophic collapse of society. Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1 is going to take place during Jacob's trouble. Let me see this. Context of judgment. The verse is a continuation of judgment from Isaiah 3 verse 16 to Isaiah 4 verse 1. So really, Isaiah 4 verse 1 should be the last verse in Isaiah chapter 3. Because after the second verse in Isaiah chapter 4, it's all talking about kingdom. Where prideful women of Jerusalem were punished for their arrogance. And they're arrogant right now. They're going to humble down. These women, these loudmouth women, they either going to get put to death or put out there. And the marauders is what you call it. They go like in the movie, the Book of Eli, when the woman wanted help from Eli. He wanted to help, but he said, "Nah, don't help." And the men were marauders, and they had their way with her, because there ain't gonna be no cops out there. Ain't gonna be no law and order. That's what you call chaos. That's what you call anarchy. Anarchy means simply without government. You have a place with a bunch of people and there's no established government, that's anarchy. And eventually people set up a government. They showed you that in the movie The Road. It's a symbolism of desperation. The 7 women, 7 often implies a large, complete group. It could be 1,000 women, it could be 10 women, it could be 20 women. Represent a complete reversal of fortune where women compete for men. Listen to that again. Where a reversal of fortune, where women compete for men. Let me read that again. It says this represents a complete reversal of fortune where women compete for men, flipping the traditional marriage requirements of the time. Reproach removal, spiritual interpretation. So, you know, when we get a woman, we got to talk to them. We got to go to the club. You got to talk to the woman. You got to sweet talk the woman. You got to take her out on this date. You know, you got to take her out on that. You got to kiss her ass. You got to hear her bullshit. Well, when it gets real, martial law, Jacob's trouble, you're just going to grab them up. See, now they can call the cops. Now you can get caught up. You grab a woman like that, you know, talking about, well, this is, you know, all I'm doing is Deuteronomy 22, 28, 29. This is what the law says. They don't want to hear the law in court. They don't want to hear the Bible. They'll lock your ass up under the jail. So there's going to be a time, there will come a time where Jacob's trouble is going to come, and these women, you have no choice but to share this one man. A man shall be more precious than fine gold. A man shall be more precious than fine gold. We are the prize. And women are beginning to see that. So now let's come back into this. There's lessons within lessons. Am I right? Oh, let me ask this question. Were women ever bothered in history? Bothered. No, the word is bothered. Bothered. I've spelled that wrong, obviously. Let me do this. What is a barter system? Okay. Were women ever bartered in history? Let me do this again. Because this time, they're going to bother us. We ain't going to bother them. Bartered in history. Let's go. Yes. Were women ever bartered in history? Answer. Yes. So part of Jacob's trouble is women going to be bartered. Because cops are not going to, 911, you go 911, it's going to be busy. Yes, women were bartered throughout history, particularly in ancient and pre-modern societies where they were frequently treated as property. That's what the Apocrypha says. Legal dependents or exchangeable goods. They were considered exchangeable. You know, you go to the car, you want a new car, right? You done had a lawsuit, whatever. You got $3 million. You're looking for a house. You got a house. You build up the house. You fix the house. You move. You get a bigger house. One thing that Jake does and everybody does, they go to the car dealership. You got $3 million in the bank. You can buy any car on the lot. You can buy a couple of cars, right? So that's nothing but an exchangeable good. But in the barter system, you took a car and traded for a truck. You took a horse and traded for a cow. You took a woman and traded for a cow. That's Joel chapter 3 verse. Started the 6th verse. Still really started the 1st verse. They sold a woman for wine that they may drink. That's barter system. So a woman is nothing but a good. Capital good and the consumer good. Consumer good, you buy a woman for you to cook for you, guide the house, and give you sex and have babies, right? Did not the Most High tell that to Hosea to get you a hoe and live with her for X amount of time? That back then, and they do that now. Believe me, from personal experience. You get a hoe and she'll be at your house for a couple of days and cook for you and massage you and give you sex. You see? So, that happened back in the ancient world, it happens now. But it's gonna happen more so. And we're gonna get them fine choice women too. Them fine, we're gonna pick and choose who's gonna be for us. And this is beautiful. And we're talking months away. It says, let me read that again. It said legal dependence or exchangeable goods. The woman back then was an exchangeable good. She's going to be an exchangeable good now. To form alliances, they were exchanged for cattle. Didn't I just say that? Commodities, or as peace offering between tribes, bridging gaps between unfamiliar groups. So they used women. They took their finest women and said, as gifts, we'll give you these women. Right? And there were of other nations too. Let me see. Okay. Prehistoric and tribal exchange, women often served as the initial object of trade. The initial object, the number one object of trade in intertribal relations, acting as connecting links to establish peace or alliance between separate groups. They forged alliances. Marriage and authority before the 19th century, which is the 1800s, women typically moved from the control of their father to, ooh, I didn't know they were going to say that. That's from the scriptures. That's from the scriptures. To their what? Husbands. They move from the control of the fathers to the husbands. That's your new daddy. I had this one chick I was dealing with for we had a long-term relationship, and that's what she called me. She didn't call me by my name. She called me daddy. What you want to do, daddy? You know? And I loved it when she said that. Now you got a Latino woman. You had experience with Latino women. They call you papi. If they call you papi chulo, then you good. So see what we're learning? You see? Are you taking notes, Bishop Nate? Because he did pull up something last night about Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture. I said he probably got that from me because I did a video on that. So he said, Tahar was going into Kwame Ture. Let me go into Kwame Ture too. And by the way, you broke down Daniel chapter 11 wrong. Daniel chapter 11 took place already. Before even the Messiah came on the scene. Daniel 11 took place. Also, 2nd Ezra 11, 2nd Ezra 12 has nothing to do with absolutely nothing to do with America. 2nd Ezra 11, 2nd Ezra 12 has everything to do with the Roman Empire. The eagle with the 12 wings and the feathers, the extra the contrary feathers, those were all the Caesars back then. So you broke it down wrong. Well, let me see. The marriages of let me read that again. Marriage and authority. Before the 19th century, it was the 1800s, women typically moved from the control of their fathers to their husbands. Their husbands had control, with marriages often functioning as economic transactions involving dowries and what property. Where that came from? The scriptures. Y'all know what a dowry is: slavery and indentured servitude. In various historical periods, including the American colonies, 1600s to the 1800s, 16, 17, 18. We're talking about the 1500s. Slavery really started among Jake in the 1500s when Christopher Columbus was on the scene. So we're talking about 300 years of slavery of Jake. That's why the UN Assembly said 123 voted yes. The worst atrocity in history is the black so-called slave trade. It says women were traded and worked as enslaved individuals and indentured servants, functioning as labor and property, as noted in the Red Cap article. Ancient trade. In some ancient societies, the barter of women was a recognized, albeit largely misunderstood, component of early interpersonal or intertribe trade. Note this Mrs. Institute article. If I'm pronouncing, that's a particular article. That's the name of the article. While some scholars note that a pure barter economy, trading one thing for another, tangible thing for another, for all goods is a myth, they acknowledge that women were specifically included in early transactions and in exchanges according to the article of early money. Did y'all hear that, man? We're going in the ancient world, and it's going to happen again. The ancient world is coming back in the modern world. The ancient practices, Isaiah 4:1. What did it? Let me do this. Let me go ahead and take this out. Okay, let me. What does the Bible mean when it speaks about Isaiah 4:1? Isaiah 4:1 describes a scene of desperate societal collapse, Jacob's trouble, where the shortage of men through war, due to the Most High's judgment, which is war, part of the judgment, becomes so extreme that 7 women compete for one husband, offering to provide for themselves. They're desperate. They're desperate. So you don't got to fight them, though. We're coming to that stage. You know, the women give you the hands. You don't want to talk to you. Nah, that's all right. You want to dance, baby? Nah, that's all right. That ain't going to happen no more. There's going to be a reversal of fortune, which I read in one of these. I thought this was it. It said reversal of fortune. Let me try something here. Okay, it's not here. But it said something about the reversal of fortune. All right. Okay, so let's come back over here.
People storing up food like they even gonna, man, people plotting right now like, oh, word? You telling all your business like that? Oh, so word? So I need to find out who you are. I need to find out. I see you. I need to continue to follow you and keep a close eye on you. Oh, word? You got other people out here just running their mouth, telling people, I got an underground. Look at Kim Kardashian. Oh, I got an underground bunker. It costs this much, blah blah blah. This is the inside of it. Well, the people that built that underground bunkers, look, they ain't got an extra key in the cut. They come up in that thing. They know the code. They know the password. Well, and if they don't know the password, they can get in that thing. You see, got a whole lot of hacking going on right about now. The Lord said, and upon the earth the stress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. These people got a whole lot to worry about. Look, we worship the Lord. We serve Yahweh, us hopeful elect. We serve Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm going to go right back to that 2nd Ezra, chapter 2. The Lord said, yeah, the days of trouble at hand. Let these other people be worried. You serve me. In videos like this, you know what I'm saying, of this Uber driver, our people ain't watching videos like that. I mean, some of them are. But the majority of them, they're in that flood type behavior, man. Just having fun, you know. Men's hearts, meaning their minds, fell enough of fear. Remember that guy that he was driving around said, think of your worst nightmare. Think of your worst nightmare and multiply it, you know. And everybody on the earth, everybody can act like they're thug and tough and all that, but everybody on the face of the earth is scared of something. And you can believe that we all designed like that. We all scared of something. The Lord designed each and every last one of us to be scared of something. The main thing that we're scared of, the main thing that we fear is Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. The Lord said, look, you fear me, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Those that fear the Lord, you know what I'm saying, I ain't got nothing to worry about. I mean, we're going to go through our trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, you fear the Lord, so the Lord said you're going to be okay. Right? Men's hearts filling them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. You see what the upper echelon people was telling him? They run around panicking, selling this, selling that, going from this state to that country to that country, selling stuff, getting rid of properties and all this shit right here. Says stack it up, you know what I'm saying, for at least 6 months. You know, get everything in order, make your plays. The hopeful that we ain't got to do all that because we don't know where we're going to be at when all hell break loose. Yeah, you can sell all your properties and hoard up all this money and get a bunker and have food stored here and things stored there. But what if you don't get to it? Then what? What if you're somewhere and you can't get to that storage thing, to that bunker, you know, to that stash house? What if you can't get to it? Then what? Did you think of that? Did you think of that? Everybody got all these different plans. You got plan A, you got plan B, plan C, and all these things. But if your plan, you know what I'm saying, ain't backed up by the Lord, then your plan gonna fail every time. It says, what it say? Men's hearts filling them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, the destruction, that chaos, that mayhem, Jacob's trouble, martial law, the hour of temptation, where this devil is going to make it mandatory that you take an implantable device, a micro chip, in order to function in his digital society, right? For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Let's jump down. Verse 36. Let's get this. St. Luke 21:36. Watch ye therefore. So we're constantly watching. And pray always, and we're most definitely constantly praying, constantly begging the Lord, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass. Once again, not it might come to pass. I think I'm gonna give me a little minute. I might think about it, making it happen. No, that shall come to pass, meaning it's a given. And to stand before the Son of Man, we're praying that we're kind of worthy to make it through all this shit, and stand and see Lord Yahushua and stand in front of the presence of the Lord and get delivered and be accepted of the Lord. That's our prayer. That's the hopeful elect's prayer. Everybody else gonna be running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out where to fucking go. Proverbs 11:4, and it reads, "Riches profit not," because that's what they had. They had a whole lot of riches. It was getting rid of this poverty, getting rid of this, getting rid of that, storing up, store not up treasures upon the earth, with thieves and moth doeth corrupt, but rather store up treasure in heaven. Build up that spiritual bank account. That's what we're doing. That's what the hopeful elect is doing. Look, we're building up a spiritual bank account pursuant to the book of Matthew. I think it's the 7th chapter. Treasures in heaven, where moth and rust doeth not corrupt. Where thieves can't steal this. Thieves can't steal the treasure that the Lord has allowed us to receive, which is the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of the scriptures. Why we're doing these videos, hitting the highways and byways. I mean, ultimately, you got to be part of the elect, but Lord willing, this is going to count for something. The Lord said your labors are not in vain. He's not unrighteous to forget our works and labor of love. We got to continue, though, because remember, he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. What does it say? Proverbs 11:4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness, doing the right thing now, starting it off now. Start your day off pleasing the Lord. Start your morning off pleasing Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. No, but righteousness delivered from death. Fearing the Lord, having faith in the Lord, rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of our ability, you know, each and every day. That's how you please the Lord. That's how you get delivered, you know what I'm saying, from things, right? That's how you get delivered from the snares of death, man. All these traps out here. Yeah,
yeah, in other words, give diligence. Not just coming out on the weekends and showing your face. You got into this. You had either computer, PC, laptop, iPhone, smartphone. You watch some videos, you found out where camp was, you joined the camp. You're in the camp for a number of months. You gotta produce. You know? Let every man be so Philippians 2:12. Work out your own salvation. You know? With fear and trembling. Work out your own salvation.
Them Edomites, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they making plays or whatever, but that ain't gonna deliver them, man. You see? Let's get this. 2nd Esdras chapter 2, verse 27. Only ones going to be preserved, you know what I'm saying, from this nuclear destruction, you know what I'm saying, are the elites. And you're going to have other people scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to feel that fire. When the elect come out of them chariots, though, they're going to put everything up under subjection, though. They're going to go around the whole earth putting everything in subjection.
I always say that. They're going to put everything in order. We're going to get the Edomites in one. You are Edomites, you're over here. You're a Moabite, you're over here in this section. You Canaanites over here. Mizraim over there. Ishmael over here. Ammon over there. We're going to put everything in order. It says in Isaiah 11 that Ammon's going to obey us. And among the women that they have, we're gonna have the women in the kingdom. We're gonna have concubines in the kingdom. We're gonna have other nations in the kingdom. You can have other nation women right now. You just can't marry them. Well, you'd be a damn fool to marry an Israelite, because they flip. We're coming down to the wire, man. We've been saying this, coming to pass, as we speak on it. When we first got on YouTube, it wasn't as bad. Now everything's hot. The Middle East is hot. Most High got the spirit. He hot in the heart of the king of the cruel lord of Egypt. Isaiah 19. We always go into that. We always mentioning that.
In the rule of the Lord. What it say again? 2nd Esdras 2:27. Be not weary. So what this guy is saying, we taking heed to it. No. But we already putting our trust in the Lord already. The Lord already gave us a gift of faith to put our trust in them. You see? So yeah, stories like this, we're just warning our people. Things are happening. You see? Stored them treasures in heaven. This dude talking about stacking up food and all that for 6 months, 2 years. Man, you don't even know how bad it's getting ready to get. And you doing all that stuff, you just storing up stuff, no sense for somebody else to get it. You know, 2nd Esdras 2:27. But our people hear a message like that, they're like, that dude crazy. Ain't nothing coming. All right, ain't nothing coming. The crazy guy. I know one thing about every time I watch a movie, the crazy guy was always the one that was right. He always ended up being the one that's right. The crazy guy that everybody like, yo, that dude, they walk past him throughout the movie or whatever. He's crazy. He usually look like he's less fortunate, like a bum. Remember the bum? You bums, you bums. Remember that slogan from these other Israelite groups? But it used to be the bum in the movies that I've seen, these end-time prophecy movies where all hell end up breaking loose, destruction and chaos and mayhem everywhere. That bum usually be the one that was right the whole time. And people that was mocking and that was scoffing them, they usually end up walking past them. Or either driving past them, hauling ass, scared as fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, they got that bum, you know what I'm saying? They was mocking, he was scoffing, he was telling us this is the end. Turn back. He was right the whole time. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble in heaven is coming, and that's what that dude is going into. You see? A day of trouble, worst time known in mankind. Your worst nightmare is coming. Your worst nightmare is coming, right? In heaven, there's people going to be worried to death cometh. Others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. See? All these hoarders, all these preppers. See, now ain't nothing wrong with having a little bit of food, having a case of water or two, you know what I'm saying?
Now, for these Edomites, these preppers they got over here, out there, they're going to go up in them. Their plan is to go up and retreat into the mountains. And their thing, they might have 6 months of provisions, but the thing gonna go past 6 months. They're gonna run out. And they're going to starve, and they're going to commit to the act of cannibalism, which already happened in the history of the United States. So it's going to happen again in a big way. See, people are not ready for it. They're not ready for Jacob's trouble. They don't understand the concept of Jacob's trouble or the Great Tribulation. These Edomites think they're going to be beamed up somewhere. The Great Rapture, which the word rapture is not even mentioned in the Bible. It means to be caught up. Yeah, when the so-called rapture comes, that's when the Israelites going to be beamed up into the ships. No other nation gonna make it, just Israelites. That provided that you one of the elect.
In the cut or whatever. But we ain't trusting in that, man. We trusting in the Lord. Remember, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, all your mind, and lean not into thy own understanding. The Lord said, yeah, everybody else, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. Said the servants of the Lord are gonna eat, they're gonna rejoice. Where that at? Where that at? Let's get that right quick.
Yeah, I covered that, but he's gonna cover it again. Isaiah 65.
The beginning of sorrows and mourning and Salakia. 64, I think. Or is it 62? Let's see.
65.
No, it ain't 62. 64, either 65. It might be 65.
65.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it's 65. Continue to seek the Lord, man. Isaiah 65 is 13. Yeah, Isaiah 65 and 13. It reads, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh shall behold, my servant shall eat. Confession of an Uber driver. They all know something. We know too. We know too. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, who they going to call God and Jesus, behold, my servant shall eat, while everybody else is out there through. Remember, be not weary, for when the time of trouble in heaven is coming, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt have abundance. Right? My servant shall eat, but they shall be hungry. The Israelites that didn't take heed, you're going to starve out here. And it's something worse than it was. This scripture tells us, Lamentations 4 and 9, that starvation, that famine, is going to be one of the worst ways that the Lord get people up out of here. It's going to be one of the worst ways to die, by way of starvation. But it's going to happen to the majority. They ain't listening. No, they ain't listening. The Lord said they're going to be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink. So all that hoarding and all that storing up food and water and all that, y'all storing that up for the elect of the nation of Israel. The hopeful elect of the nation of Israel is going to get that water. The hopeful elect of the nation of Israel is going to get that food. The hopeful elect of the nation of Israel is going to get them gloves.
So we don't have to worry about prepping. Some of you might prep, whatever, get ready for shit. But we talking about the long haul, man. And your mindset got to be straight when the mark comes. That you're not going to be able to buy anything anyway. You're going to have the spirit going to work. There's many brothers and even sisters that had dreams that angels had given us food. So that's where your faith kicks in. We're going to see who's real in that day. That includes all of us.
Them brand new socks, them shoes, them cans of tuna. You heard? You heard? Right? What it say? But ye shall be thirsty. Behold, because all this storing up and all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Hey, look, man, you probably ain't going to be able to get to it. And if you do get to it, somebody going to find out where you at. You see? Or eventually a buckler buster, you know what I'm saying, aka a missile.
Yeah, these women ain't going to be out here, man, doing what they doing. Going out, you know, girl trips and all that, especially the Jake women, the Israelite women. They're going to be up under a house, up under one man. Whether it be 10 of them, 5 of them, 25 of them. And we're going to have rule over these women.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to hit it. It's going to be your tomb. It's going to be your grave. Right? Who the hell want to be trapped on the damn ground when all literally? Who the hell want to really be trapped up on the ground when all hell break loose and you can't get out? You down there chilling, whatever. And they say, no, you can't get out. You gonna lose your damn mind. That air, you know what I'm saying? You gonna eventually, you know what I'm saying, lose that air. Eventually, Lord sees everything, man. It says, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice. Right? But ye shall be ashamed. So the servants of the Lord are going to be happy. Let's get rejoice again. Let's get it. I got it the other day. Let's get it again. Let's get it again. Rejoice. Rejoice is a verb. Can I play it?
Rejoice.
Rejoice is a verb meaning to feel, show, or express great joy. The water, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the water, the water, the water, the water, the water, Yahweh, Bahashem, Shai, delight or triumph, right? What else? It is used to celebrate, applause, and give thanks. In everything, give thanks. The water, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Often in spiritual context, yep. Glory. You know what I'm saying? Give glory to our power. All of these things. The opposite of mourn. The opposite of grieve. The opposite of...
Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch gears a little bit over here. Okay, you got this. This is put up 2 minutes ago. This was put up 13 minutes ago. This is probably live. Everyone in Asia hates Trump. Well, everybody in America hates Trump too. Who likes the MAGA people don't like him no more. Let me see here. Dabu 77. Upload incredibly problematic. U.S. military prepares for major escalation. Iran destroys U.S. AWACS jet. There's a war. Iran is looking at this as a war of attrition. Look that word up. War of attrition. Let me see what Sabby Sabs was. I call it Sexy Sabs. Let's see what Sexy Sabs got to say. This chick right here from Boston. She might be one of my lovelies. Cory Booker rejects AIPAC money, but don't be fooled. Oh, okay, oh, he's going against the small hats? No, that's inside. That's some WWE shit. We know that nigga. Just see what's going on. Okay. Captain Zariak TV. Uploaded. Heal your trauma. Break the cycle for your kids now. I'll be listening to this chick. You're killing the chemistry by being with the girls. Yeah, this chick pushes men being dominant in every aspect, being dominant over women, because women like dominant men. Let me see. I'm sorry, let me bring this back up. Okay, let me go right here. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go to Dabu first. Fair use, fair use, fair use. See what's happening.
Taxes was chasing updates, getting nowhere.
You were looking at a massive plume of smoke and a huge fire after the oil facilities in Iran have been hit. And this is one of many attacks that have been launched by the West and Israel here within the past 24 hours as things are escalating quickly. After Trump said that we've won and that the thing should be over soon, now the Pentagon says prepare They're going to be there for weeks.
And see, you got these military men, you got Jake all in the military, and they blindly follow. There ain't no way I'm going to go to another part of Earth where maybe I can die. You know, I do it for honor. Fuck honor for a country. It ain't just fucking you a former slave. This man right here will kill you if he gets the orders from his commanding officer.
As U.S. Marines and others start piling into the area, it looks like they're eyeballing, or at least they're making it look like...
Troops on the ground. Troops on the ground. Not pants on the ground, troops on the ground. That's a ground war. Vietnam.
They're going to try to flex and do some kind of ground invasion, either on Clark Island or elsewhere. Of course, Iran is threatening that if you try to do so, you're going to face a 1 million-man army, especially on the mainland. Clark Island would be, some are saying, like a death trap. There would be no reason to really go in and do it, because they would take such heavy losses. And on top of the losses, they're saying that right now we have an incredibly problematic situation, as Iran has destroyed one of our AWACS jets that was sitting in Saudi Arabia. So the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they're getting pounded. Remember, 13 bases that our troops were using are uninhabitable. If people have been living under a rock, that's the reality of what's really going on this war front. It's not good, it's not going the way or as easy as Trump wanted it to, or as he projects it to be. We have assets getting wiped out, as you can see here, that are critical to giving us an advantage in this atmosphere. And this is a very delicate type of situation, seeing there's civilians all across the country, and this thing seems to be escalating. I would be ready for blowback here in America at any time, anywhere. You have to be vigilant at this point, because we're in an open war. Join me for the live streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Dabu 7. You better get ready for war.
Seeking wealth and conquest. Don't that sound like Donald Trump? And this is Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was part of the Triumvirate, right, with Julius Caesar and Pompey, right? So he was trying to match their exploits, Caesar's exploits and Pompey's exploits, by invading Parthia. So Serenia, which was the general, utilized a small, all-cavalry force consisting of 9,000 horse archers and 1,000 heavy armored cataphracts. The term Shalom, 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 shalom. As always, let's want to give it the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Let's want to give it the praises, His only begotten Son, Yahushai. The blessings to the apostles, to the elders, to the bishops, the brothers out there plowing the fields. In the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahushai. To the few sisters that will be edified by today's edification, as I always say, shalom to you, sisters. So, we're going to quickly start. We're going to start here. Right? This is Iran's latest AI video. We're going to start here. And then we're going to go to the actual real news. We're going to go from AI to the actual real news. But I just kind of want you to see this, right? Because Iran is definitely winning the propaganda war when it comes to the media and what's being put out there. All right? Yeah, he started with the Israelites in chains. The Israelites, the real Israelites, right? So they brought us into the picture now, along with the Native American Indians, which they were already showing you, all right? Because that's the Israelites, and that's to signify the transatlantic slave trade, all right? Just so you know. So that's how it started, right? That's kind of what caught my eye, is that they got us in chains, right? Yokes of iron around our neck, all right? So let it play anyway. This is, like I said, this is the latest one, and then obviously the Northern Kingdom, which is the 10 lost tribes of Israel. So it starts with the Northern Kingdom, and then it goes to the transatlantic slave trade, right? Being sold in auction blocks in Babylon the Great. So they brought the true Israelites into the picture, right? And I'm sure they know that we are the Israelites. I'm sure these people know who we are. It said for the stolen to the Israelites. Oh, it's going to come up again. You have chosen to like the oppressor, right? See, for the stolen blacks, which are the Israelites. So they put it out there, as you can see. It says for the stolen blacks, which are the children of Israel, that were stolen and brought to the Americas on transatlantic slave trades. All right. So they pulled us in now, right? Cyrus and his crew, the Persians, have pulled us in. What's going to happen? All of these nations that possess nukes are going to be firing them on America. All of them.
Nero and these leaders are not concerned because they know Iran can't hit them. But they don't understand that Russia, China, and these other nations, including NATO, Pakistan, we're going to be able to hit North Korea. They're going to be able to hit. This man made a foolish move. I'm talking about Nero.
There's a little message there, right? You see that? It's a justice, see, for the Malcolm X way, all right? I want to read that message that he put up there. Hold on. Okay, so that symbolically represents Malcolm X. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. I hope you Negroes in America that have not come back to your true heritage, listen carefully. If you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Alright? That was from Malcolm X. So they've obviously brought the children of Israel into this, right? Babylon is burning. It's burning, right? That great city, that golden city, that's its end. Trust me. All of the nations, alright? All of the nations, as you can see, come together. And that's what's happening to Babylon. So, let's get to, we're going to get to the actual news of the day, alright? We're going to start here, alright? So, let's start here before we go into the scriptures.
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
According to one former British military personnel, this could be the most successful retaliatory attack by the Iranians in this conflict against the Americans.
So there's that angle. And then, of course, there's been a base attacked in Saudi Arabia. Again, you know, a month in, we're just seeing all of this escalate even further.
This one is particularly interesting, I think, because although there's been loads of attacks in the Middle East, we're not hearing about all of them because the rules are much more strict now about reporting from people's phones. But Prince Salman...
This is Sky News in the United Kingdom, okay? There's certain news channels over here, they're actually starting to speak the truth of what's going on, right? I know in America it's pure propaganda you're getting on your mainstream media, but certain of these mainstream media channels in the UK, they've had no choice but to bring people on who's going to speak, as you're going to hear from this ex-military man and this military analyst speaking.
Their base really enormous. They're much more strict now about loads of attacks in the Middle East. We're not hearing about all of them because the rules are much more strict now about reporting from people's phones. But Prince Sultan Air Base, a really enormous air base, been there before, largely a big hub for US operations. Now, the reason we're hearing about it is 12 US service personnel got injured, 2 quite badly. But the real story is, okay, so what were the Iranians targeting here? And actually, when you strip it all back, it turns out it's these KC-135 tanker aircraft. And for a lot of people watching, they go, hang on a minute, why would you have one of these tanker aircraft? Why are they being targeted? Well, the key is because these are called force multipliers. Because when I was flying my military jets around, they're quite small wings. They've only got about an hour and a half of fuel. And the danger is therefore, you run out of fuel, come home, you've got to turn the whole thing around, service it. If you can stop at a gas station in the sky, plug in, gas and go, and then go on again, you can do 3 or 4 trips on one sortie. And therefore, that's why they're called a force enabler. Now, the challenge is this isn't the first time the Iranians have targeted these. About 5 were damaged on the ground a week or so back. This time, reports suggest that there may be up to 3 of these destroyed on the ground and several others damaged. If, I re-emphasize, if that turns out to be true.
And it is true, as I'm going to confirm it for you that it is true. They've destroyed the refuel planes, right? These massive planes that they use to refuel their fighter jets in the sky, all right? They've destroyed them, all right? Several of them, and also some fighter jets in Saudi Arabia, sitting on the tarmac, right, in the US base.
This will be the most successful Iranian strike on American air power since the start of the war. So not only does it demonstrate Iran has still had capability to target something on a very well-defended base, but it doesn't look like the actions of a country that's on the verge of surrender.
This British military
doesn't look like the actions of a country on the verge of surrender, and they're not.
The experts' concluding words on Sky News says it all. This doesn't look like the action of a military which has been decimated by deranged Donald Trump or his terrorist Israeli master Benjamin Netanyahu.
Absolutely right. So now this is France 24. This is the main news channel in France, all right?
It's one of the key staging grounds for U.S. operations in the region, which makes the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia such an appealing target for the Iranians. According to U.S. media reports, around a dozen American soldiers were wounded, including 5 seriously, and several aerial refueling planes were hit in strikes carried out by Tehran. Iran broadcast what it claims are images of the operation on national television. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard said it carried out its 84th wave of retaliatory strikes using missiles and drones. In a statement, the IRGC claimed that its operatives destroyed a number of refuelers and the logistical fleet supporting the U.S. terrorist army at the Al-Kharj base. It's not the first time the Prince Sultan base has come under attack. In a previous incident on March 1st...
Right, what she said, right? She said the U.S. terrorist army, right? She said exactly how they gave it to her. Let's just play it back again. She said defeating the U.S. terrorist army in the Saudi Arabia base. That's exactly what they did.
Operatives destroyed a number of refuelers and the logistical fleet supporting the U.S. terrorist army at the Al-Kharj base. It's not the first time the Prince Sultan base has come under attack. In a previous incident on March 1st, a U.S. serviceman was wounded and later died from his injuries. Shortly after that, Iran managed to damage 5 refueling planes that were on the tarmac. A month into the war, the Iranian attack shows that the regime remains able to strike at the heart of American assets, despite the Trump administration's claims that it's annihilated Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. Meanwhile, America...
Despite what they're saying, right, they're in full capability. Now, what they have to understand, right, as I said before, that Iran is a different kettle of fish that they're dealing with, right? And also the Lord is working with Iran, right, to have this upper hand, right? Because, you know, what's happening to Trump, the Lord is doing the same thing what he did to Pharaoh during the Israelites' captivity. And when the Lord told Moses to go and tell Pharaoh to free my people, the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he can show his power to these people, to the Egyptians, because the Egyptians, you know, they looked at their pharaohs as being gods, right? As being gods on earth. And the Lord used Pharaoh, right, Ramesses, hardened his heart so that he can show his power to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians. That there's a greater power in control of all of what's going on planet Earth. And his name is Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, right? Which is it's in what we refer to as the heavens of heavens, right? The fourth dimension, all right? Where the angels are and where his son is, Yahweh Shai. There's a greater power controlling this. Now, what we have to understand, right? In 300 BC, Alexander the Great, right? He had conquered. There's 2 times where Iran was kind of conquered, but not to the point where they capitulated. But we're just going to kind of explain that to you, right? In 300 BC, around 300 BC, Alexander the Great and his 4 generals conquered Persia, conquered Iran, all right? And at that time of them conquering it, 10 years later, you know, several years later, because Alexander the Great died when he was, I think, 32 or 33. Alexander the Great died, right? And after he had conquered Persia, Iran, what did he do? He left. And that's a prophecy in the Bible, Alexander the Great doing that, right? He had left his kingdom was split between his 4 generals, all right? Which made up, you had Ptolemy, you had the Seleucid, you had Lassamaeus, and I'm trying to think the other one's name. I said Seleucid, Lassamaeus, and what was his name? Ptolemy. They called them the Diadoches, right? Ptolemy, Lassamaeus, Antigonus. That's the other guy I'm thinking of, Antigonus. So and Cassandra was also one of them because they took one of the generals. The rest of them came against him and took his empire, and took his part. The minute Alexandra died, but the 4 main ones was Ptolemy, which is the Ptolemaic Empire, the Seleucids, right, which they called the Seleucid Empire. They controlled like Mesopotamia, Persia, right, which is what we know today as Iran and Syria. The Ptolemies, they controlled Egypt. Antigonus, he was the one that went up against Seleucus, tried to take control of his empire, and he was finally defeated, right? I think it was the Battle of Ipsus, where he was defeated, Antigonus, by Seleucid. And Seleucid did get help from one of the other generals. I think it might have been Cassandra, one of them. And then, so the 4 main generals would have been Ptolemy, Seleucus, Cassandra, who basically gained control of Macedonia, which we know as modern-day Greece today, right? And Lassamaeus, who ruled through Thrace and parts of Asia Minor. So they were the 4 main generals. So even after they took control, they was always at wars with each other until they lost control of the territory that they controlled by the Romans, basically. So
the Romans at the time of the Maccabees, you go to the book of Maccabees, 1st Maccabees, 2nd Maccabees, 3rd Maccabees, 4 Maccabees. Some books set it up that way, 4 Maccabees. The book that we deal with deals with 1st and 2nd Maccabees. when it speaks about the Romans, it's not talking about Esau. Esau didn't come into power until, I believe the year is 65 BCE. So we're talking Antiochus Epiphanes, Maccabees. That was 160 years before, the AD period. Transition from the BC period to the AD period. So those Romans that made an alliance with the Maccabees, those had to be Japhet, and some of them had to be Jakes too. Jake mingles himself among the other nations. The Japhetic woman, a beautiful woman. So some of those actual, you go into the history of the Lacedaemonians, which are the Spartans. They showed you that in the movie 300. Where all of the Spartans, they had full beard, they had bushy beards. And they made sure the beards were bushy because they were Jake. And then you had Esau come up in there and rule, but Jake was in them armies. You had Apostle Gabar used to always mention this guy. What was his name? Cletus Melis. It's an actual dude. Let me do something. Let me see if I can pull him up. Cletus Melis. Give me a second, I'm getting my bearings straight. And Alexander the Great. Let's see what comes up. Okay, here we go. Cletus the Black. Melis meaning black. Melanin, black. So they had Jakes in high positions in among the Greek army or armies. Cletus the Black, also known as Cletus Melis, 375 to 328 BC, was a prominent officer. This was a Jake, black man, in the Macedonian army, which are the Greeks, and a close friend of Alexander the Greek. Cletus the Black is a black man, an Israelite. He is best known for saving Alexander's life at the Battle of Granicus in 334 BC, but was later killed by Alexander in a drunken, volatile argument. Okay? So this guy was a top guy. Background: Cletus Melis was the son of Derpidus and the brother of Alexander's nurse, Lenic, whatever. You can get some history on this guy. He commanded the royal cavalry and was considered part of the old guard who served under Philip II, Philip of Macedonia, Alexander's father. He's also known as Philip II. So he had to be older than Alexander. So he came up under high-ranking officer in the military of Philip of Macedonia. That's all I need. Just come on back.
And then they came with the Hellenization, but remember, was it Antigonus I'm thinking of? No, Seleucus, who had control of Persia. All right, they kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The Persians kind of absorbed them into their culture anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was a mix of both, but they all fell apart because they was always at war. So then the Romans took them down, and then around 49 BC, or just a little before that, 50 BC, Julius Caesar, the Romans, right? They came up against the Iranians, right? And at that time, the Iranians were known as who? Were known as the Parthians. So you had the Romans. Let me just quickly show you. Came up against them, right? And they was just in endless wars with them. I think it was like about 300 years. The Romans. Let's see if I can get it up. And the Parthians, right? That's the Battle of Carrhae, right? So they came up against them, and it was a disastrous defeat. This was the main battle, 53 BC it was. That's when it was, right? They came up against them. That's when they were known as, the Iranians were known as the Parthians. And this is the battle here, the Battle of Carrhae, 53 BC. You see, it says it was a disastrous defeat for Rome, where 40,000 strong Roman army led by Marcus Crassus, who was part of the first triumvirate with Julius Caesar and Pompey. It was destroyed by, they were destroyed by what? By 10,000 Parthian horse archers, armored cataphracts under General Serena. All right. So these are the Parthians are Iranians, because Parthia is Iran. All right. What we know is Iran today. Using superior mobility and endless arrows, the Parthians exploited Roman tactical rigidness, just like what we're seeing today in Mesopotamia desert. Right, in the Mesopotamian desert, same place where the Lord is leading him today, in the desert, into that barren and desolate land, killing 20,000 Romans and capturing 10,000. Right? So the Roman Republic under Marcus Licinius Crassus versus the Parthian Empire, King Orodes II, field commanded by General Serena. Right? So Crassus, aiming for glory to match his triumphant partners Caesar and Pompey, invaded Parthia, which is Iran, without Senate approval. That's exactly what Donald Trump do. I didn't even realize it was going to say that. That's exactly what Donald Trump's doing today, right? Without Senate approval, right? Donald Trump didn't get the Senate's approval to go to war against the Iranians, right? Just so you know, right? Without Senate approval, seeking wealth and conquest. Don't that sound like Donald Trump? And this is Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was part of the triumvirate, right, with Julius Caesar and Pompey, right? So he was trying to match their exploits, Caesar's exploits and Pompey's exploits, by invading Parthia. So Serenia, which was the general.
Those are the three heads mentioned in both 2nd Ezra 11 and 12, which, like I said, Bishop Nate went off on that. He said that one of the heads represent America. No, it does not. When you go, I'm going to say this again. 2nd Ezra 11, chapter 11, 2nd Ezra chapter 12 in the Apocrypha has absolutely nothing to do with America. It's talking about the Roman Empire. The 12 feathers and the contrary feathers represent the Caesars and these men that were close to being Caesars.
Utilize a small all cavalry force consisting of 9,000 horse archers and 1,000 heavy armored cataphracts. The turning point was the Roman infantry waited for the Parthians to run out of arrows. Ain't that the same thing we're hearing today? They keep saying, oh, the Iranians have run out of missiles. The Iranians have run out of ballistic missiles. There's no new thing under the sun, family. And the Romans today are the Edomites. The Romans are Edomites. Trump is an Edomite. America's run by Edomite elites and secret societies. NATO are a bunch of Edomite nations that have come together under one umbrella calling themselves NATO, also known as the beast in the Bible. So we're hearing the exact same. I didn't even know he was going to say this. Just so you know, this is the first time I'm reading this, but that's the spirit, right? This is the first time I'm reading this. So we're hearing the same things today. the Roman infantry waited for the Parthians to run out of arrows. We're hearing the exact same thing that Donald Trump's saying. Now they've run out of ballistic missiles, they run out of Shahid drones, they've run out of defensive missiles, and all of these things, hoping that they're going to run out. But Serenia used camels to continuously supply his archers, right? So we know that there's a supply line of missiles and drones being built underground in Iran, and they're supplying the IRCG or the IRGC to fight against America and Israel and their allies and their Arab allies, right? So it says the result was the Roman formation collapsed. Under relentless attack, Crassus was killed during negotiations, and the Parthians took the Roman eagle standards, signaling a major humiliating defeat for Rome. Donald Trump better read it. He better read this. Donald Trump, you better read what happened to your ancestors, right? When they came up against the Iranians, right? In the Battle of Carrier, because I knew about the Battle of Carrier, right? But didn't know the full extent of how it actually went down. I knew they were defeated by the Parthians. So my message to Donald Trump, right? And he's what's her name? Paula White, right? He's the spiritual guide, right? He better read what happened to their ancestors when they tried the exact same thing. This is the exact same thing that Donald Trump is trying today. But as we always tell you, it's all Bible prophecy, what we see going on in the Middle East. So the Lord is going to continue to harden Trump's heart for his defeat and for America's defeat. All right? So that's the exact same thing. So this was just to show you. Let's just quickly see if I can get an image up here. Rome, 1 second. And Parthian Empire map. I just want to see if I can see a map that shows you, so you can see what we're talking about. Okay, Roman Parthian Wars. Where is it? No. This one here, Parthian Empire. Okay, beautiful. Encyclopedia. Right, let me just share this tab so you can see. So, just for you to understand, this is what we know today as Iran, the Parthian Empire. See what this is? That's the Straits of Hormuz, the most famous place in the world in the year 2026, March the 29th, 2026. This is the most famous place in the world, more famous than Hollywood, right? This is the Straits of Hormuz. This is the Persian Gulf, all right? This is what we know today as Iran, the Parthian Empire. And this was the Roman Empire that came against him under Marcus Crassus, the battle that he died in. This is the Red Sea. This is the Sinai. See, it says Gaza. So you know that's Israel up here, which the Romans called Palestine. It was the Romans that called it Palestine, all right? And that's the Mediterranean Sea over here. There's a little bit of history to show you, to make you understand who they're dealing with. So there's no new thing under the sun, all right? No new thing under the sun. Understand that, all right? So they already tried this. Like I said, Alexander the Great was the only Edomite that ever conquered the Persian Empire. But that empire, that conquer, when they conquered it, it fell apart after he died because his 4 generals were in continuous wars with each other, especially the Ptolemies against the Seleucid Empire, right? And you'll see that in Daniel's chapter 11. That's talking about the 6 Syrian wars.
This was all told. Well, he's going to mention the 6 Syrian wars. I shouldn't have hit the button. But 6 Syrian wars, Daniel 11. Daniel 11, 6 Syrian wars. The wars consisted of, those 6 wars consisted of a battle back and forth between the northern kingdom, the north, king of the north, and the king of the south. King of the south was a Ptolemaic dynasty or family, great family, mighty family. Dynasty means mighty family. And the king of the south was the Ptolemies, and the king of the north was the Seleucid Empire. What came out of that was Antiochus. That's in the latter verses of Daniel 11. There's nothing if you go into Daniel chapter 11, you say, well, this is talking about America. You don't know prophecy. Because Nate even tried to say that. He said, well, this right here, Daniel 11 and such and such is talking. This is America right here. This is, whatever. That took place already. That whole chapter took place, was fulfilled before the Messiah came on the scene. Long before the Messiah came on the scene. That spanned several years. So anyway, when you go to like West Point, which is a military academy, they learn about ancient wars. I asked Google whether West Point studies ancient battles like Rome and so forth, and they do. So they already know what the outcome. This guy, he doesn't know history, man. He doesn't know history, and really what he's doing is what the small heads are telling him what to do, and that's going to cause them to be destroyed. That's like a suicide mission to them. It's a bad omen when you ask for the NATO nations to join forces to fight against you, and they pull out and they say, not one of them got with you. Not one of them got with you. And you're being hated, and America's being hated.
Wars between the Seleucid Empire and the Ptolemaic Empire. But this part here was controlled by, we just read it, right? Was it Lacenaeus? Yeah, it was or Cassander. I think it was Cassander that controlled that part there, all right? So that's what happened. So we're reading the history here. Now, after that, you had the Emperor Julian that tried to, which is another Roman emperor, that tried to conquer it in, I think it was 363 or 360. Let me just see if I can find that. Emperor Julian. Yeah, we're going to go for a history lesson today. Julian against versus the Parthians. Let me see. I believe they were still cool because they were fighting. The Romans were in wars against them for a very long time. Sustainer Empire, certainly confused with the earlier Parthians. Success, let's put success. I believe it was him, Emperor Julian, that did it. Okay, yep. So I got it. So it was 363 AD, all right? So you see here, 363 AD, Roman Emperor Julian led an ambitious, initially successful campaign against the Sasanian Empire, which is the Parthians, which is the Persian Empire. See, it says it, historically confused with the earlier Parthians under Shapur II, reaching the capital of Castapop, all right? It says, despite initial tactical successes, logistical failures, which is what we are seeing today, logistical failures, a scorched earth strategy. Ain't that what they're attempting today? A scorched earth strategy. They want to carpet bomb the place. They believe they can bomb them into submission. These are the same Romans, man. And a failed siege. So now they're planning the siege, right? They're planning the siege now. The Americans and Israelis, right? Mainly the Americans. It says a failed siege led to a disastrous retreat. We're going to see this again, family. Trust me. Where Julian was mortally wounded. And you know how you mortally wound Donald Trump? It's through the media. You just say something about him. He gets mortally wounded by words, right? Donald Trump. So it says that the key aspects of the campaign, right? Julian sought to emulate Alexander the Great, because Alexander the Great was the first one to do it, but his conquest fell apart after he died because his 4 generals were in wars all the time, right? Basically. And they were absorbed into the Persian way of life anyway, right? Under, I think it was Lacenaeus we was reading, when we said Alexander the Great and his generals. I think it was under, it was Lacenaeus. It was under, they called them the Diadoches.
Yeah, that's all that history. We don't expect you to get all it. You want to get into history, link it through the scriptures. What was I going to say? when you say that Antiochus Epiphanes was an Edomite, scholars say no, he wasn't an Edomite, he was a Syrian. Yes and no, meaning he was based in Syria, just like no different than Alexander being born in Cyprus, which back in the ancient world was called Kittim, which is Cyprus today. Look it up. What's the ancient name? What was the name of Cyprus before it was called Cyprus? It was called Kittim. That doesn't mean he wasn't a kid. That doesn't mean he was a Kittimite. Antiochus Epiphanes was an actual Edomite that was living in Syria, that came out of Syria. That's why they call him the Syrian.
No, Lacenaeus took Thrace and Asia. So it was, okay, yeah, Ptolemy, Seleucus took, yeah, we knew that, took Syria. Antigonus was the one-eyed one that failed in his dynasty. So it would have been under Cassander. Because you got Seleucus. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Mesopotamia to India, Eastern Empire. Yeah, Seleucus, yeah, okay. So you can see again, it tried it again.
So you can watch the rest of this. And I just wanted to play this right here. Let me just see what else is going on. Okay, let me see. Queen Amadalia. Shakur show is live. No kings. Protest. Iran attacks Saudi. Air. Iran destroys U.S. Iran destroys U.S. air fleet. Strikes on Tehran. Zelensky, Putin. Yeah, Zelensky's in the Middle East now begging for money. What he normally does. Anyway, I'm gonna close it. Shalom on to the next.